Welcome everyone for joining the call today. Alexander Nnamdi Anukam is a compliance officer at Guaranteed Trust Fund Managers. He's also a graduate from the University of Benin. That was where we met. Currently, Alex is doing his MBA in Strategic Management at Babcock University, Nigeria. Alex is a young professional like me and you, currently navigating not only his life but career as well. Once again, welcome, Alex. Do you want to say something before I hit you with a question? You're muted.
Hear me.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Nancy, for this opportunity. Um, Nancy is a very good friend of mine, and when the opportunity rose, I just couldn't turn it down because I knew it was going to be a very beneficial one. And I'm very happy to be here. You're someone who inspires me, so I'm very happy to be on this program with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with us. So we'll just get quickly into the conversation without much ado. Now, I would like to know like your journey. I would like to know your why. When you were an undergrad at the University of Benin in Nigeria, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like when people ask you, what do you want to do when you grew up? And what were your most what were you most passionate or curious about back then? And did you intentionally choose the career that you're currently in right now, working as a compliance officer at the Guaranteed Trust Fund Managers?
Well, thank you. Those are very serious questions. So when growing up while I was younger, I always wanted to contribute in any way I could to the development of society. So I'm from the science field. However, I've always had an interest in finance. So when the opportunity came up, I took the opportunity. Aside that, I've always been one for social justice and governance. So when the opportunity came for a role in financial governance, a role in compliance, I was very excited to take it.
Oh, we can no longer hear you. No. Is it the audio? Do you want to try muting yourself and unmuting yourself?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, so when the opportunity came, I grabbed it and I decided to see how it goes. And so far, so good. And my dreams have never really been tied to a particular function or a particular role. And I think it's very important for young professionals to have a broad goal, broad expectations of life, and be dynamic. That's how I got into the role. Was Providence, and so far so good. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that. I think I really like the last statement that you made, that young professionals should not like, well, while it is good to always carve a niche for yourself and niche down, but like also be very open to different opportunities as you move along in your journey. So the next question I have is actually a two-part kind of question, especially given your current role as a compliance officer at Guaranteed Trust Fund Managers. Have you ever been in a room where you knew the right thing to do, but it wasn't the easy thing, especially like I said in your line of work? And how do you decide when to speak up and when not to do so? Um, so yeah, I feel like the question is hinting like for young professionals, there is always that draw, especially going back from the last comments that you made, that one has to like be versatile in career. So you find yourself in these different spaces, and then you also end up in like some spaces that are not very conducive or very aligned with your values. So how do you present yourself in those type of situations? And when do you decide to speak up or to take a back
Okay, and thank you. So as a As an individual, I think you're always going to find yourself in such rooms, even aside your personal life, aside your professional life, you're going to find yourself in such rooms in your personal life where you have to consider, should I speak up? Should I keep quiet? Uh, and I think most of the evil we have in our society is out of convenience. So people think it's more comfortable not to speak up. So yes, of course, I found myself in such rooms, maybe not with evil going on, but in such rooms where people are thinking, this is the easier way to do things. Can't we do it this way? Shouldn't we do it this way? Although it doesn't, it may not really align with requirements or regulations or even morals. Uh, so I think it's always about what will keep you up at night and how you would like to remember that you acted in such a situation. So if I do this now, the easy way, I'll take the easy way out here. Will I be able to live with myself? Yes, so that's a very, very serious one. Will I be able to live with myself? But there are some other, maybe very light ones where you it does not where your support for convenience over truth or over regulation may not lead to damnation of your soul, but it may just be you set the wrong precedent. Someone is watching you, someone is looking up to you, someone is expecting you to do right. So you know you have to do right. As professionals that we are all called to be ethical. Whether you're in compliance, whether you're in audits, whether you're just living your life, you're called to be ethical in your decisions. So always when I find myself in such rooms, I try to think of the greater good. What's going to benefit us now versus what's going to benefit us in the long term? Is this a short-term benefit when we decide to maybe break the rules or we decide to do what is not right? Is it going to lead to a short-term benefit and then long-term disaster? Or can we just sacrifice a little, delay the gratification by doing the right things and then expect long-term benefits? Yes. So usually I just try to speak up when I can. I won't say I always speak up because that would be, I don't know, true burden I have to wear. But I try to speak up when it really matters and when I see that nobody else is concerned about doing the right thing. And I think it's very important for us in our daily lives to just to do the right thing, no matter how small it may be.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that response. I feel like it is very, very capturing of like what the essence of us as young professionals are. I do have a follow-up question regarding that.
Okay.
But before we get into that, I just want to welcome everyone that just joined the call. If you just joined the call, this is Alexander Nandi Anukam, a compliance officer at Guarantee Trust Fund Managers, and he's a young professional today here to share his own experiences on how he is navigating not only his personal life but also his career as well. If you have questions, we're going to have a Q&A at the end of like all the questions that I have for Alex today. If you want to ask your questions, you can either drop it in the chat box or use the Q&A function on YouTube, sorry, on Zoom here to drop your questions. And then also remember to follow the Young Professionals Network on all social media handles. We have LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and then you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So back to the question, Alex. I really liked what you said about like choosing the greater good and also speaking up when no one else is speaking up because like that's one of the challenges that many young professionals face. Like, they don't want to like single themselves out because when you do speak
Hmm.
up, you spotlight yourself,
The
right?
target.
And then all the lights are shining on you, seeing both your integrity, your good character, and your flaws as well. And that
Yes.
leads to a level of insecurity. But you also mentioned something about expectation, like what people expect from you and expect you to do as a young professional. I feel like expectations are so high for young professionals today. People expect us all to have everything figured out, to know what we want to do. I mean, to know the right thing at all times. Whereas most of us are doing this blindly. We're doing this. So my question then is, how do young professionals manage expectations like these?
That's a tough one. I mean, yes. So, like you mentioned, expectations are part of life. I think that's what we should first of all understand. You have expectations of me, no matter how little they are, and I have expectations of you. And we are all we all have a responsibility to each other. So we can't disregard that. However, I think we should try not to set unrealistic standards for ourselves and don't let people set unrealistic standards for you as well. So you have, when you enter into a contract with a person, either relationship or a job that you have, an employment you have, there are some expectations you've signed up for that you already know, okay, these are the things expected of me, right? So those ones you already have them, and you know, okay, this doing this, I'm going to meet this person's expectations. However, there are some other maybe non-formal ones, or in some other situations where you then have to begin to worry about, oh, what does this person think about me, or what's this person going to think when I do this? So the issue with that is we may end up not living our lives just because of expectations of others. So what I usually try to do is to I try to have a conscience and let that be my own moral compass, not the expectations of others, especially in some particular situations. When I know that I have put in my best, I look for feedback and I look to others to give me feedback. However, you also have to possess a certain level of self-awareness, so you're able to judge what people say against what you feel that you've done. So if you just think your opinion is all there is, then you can become arrogant and you can become self-absorbed. However, you should always try to strike a balance. This is who I am, this is what I know, this is what I do, this is what I believe in, and these are what people expect of me. So don't get carried away with expectations of that people have of you, and try not to get absorbed in they're thinking that you are all in all, and you have all the information and judgment that you need.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've answered the
Oh,
question.
yes, you did. Yes, you did. I feel like I'm learning so much because, like, sometimes one thinks that, or we tend to think as young professionals that it is either this or this extreme or this
Yes,
extreme. Either you are taking into account everyone's expectations of you or not. But with what you have just explained now is starting from like what are the expectations if you're working? What are the expectations from you as a worker in that organization? Again, if
yes,
you are in your personal life with your family, what are your expectations to your or your responsibility to your family? And then like you also said, then striking a balance, knowing when to take criticism and when to send a rejoinder when someone says, oh, you did this, but you can say, well, you think I did this was exactly what I did. So you're not taking all this criticism or taking all this feedback and saying, I'm not enough, but knowing when to like strike that balance according to what you say. So like that's like the middle ground between
of course.
knowing how to collect expectations and also knowing where to draw the line. So for young professionals, yes, there are some level of expectations that you have towards your friends, towards your boss, towards your family, towards yourself, but like it's not to the point where you lose a sense of self. So thank you so much for that question, for that response. The next
Thank you.
question that I have is about success and about what you have developed or like the things that you have had to unlearn as you continue to grow in your career. Most times, young professionals think like success is a destination, but success is like, so like as you have progressed in your career, what's something that you have had to unlearn and maybe learn or relearn about success as you grow?
Okay, I think the major thing that we all can relate to is our expectations of ourselves when we were younger versus what we are seeing now. So I'm sure when we had like, okay, this plan when I am maybe 5 years old, I expect to be here. When I'm 15, I expect to be there. When I'm 20, I'm here. When I'm 30, I'm done with this and that. So I think one thing that I have unlearned and then learned is that success is not doesn't have to be straight, doesn't have to be linear the way we have planned it. And like you've mentioned, success doesn't really have to mean a destination. So the process can also be the success that you gain from that stage in your life. So I think different things bring us that satisfaction of success. And as you advance in your knowledge, advance in your experience, advance in the stage of your life, it changes. These things change. So success to you could mean maybe having a fat bank account. But then as you grow older, it's okay. There's more to this than success. Success can be having that and good relationships. And then maybe success can be having that and a good job. And success can be having this and a good marriage or kids, or if you want to remain single, then success can be being satisfied with your own company. So I think one thing that maybe we can use to judge success is being able to wake up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror and just feel that, okay, I'm doing something positive with my life and I'm not ruining the lives of others. I am making an impact in my little way. I think that is a good measure of success when the people around you can feel your impact in no matter how little it is. And when you have this sense of purpose, that you're making your community better in one way or the other, you're making your work environment better one way or the other. So the one thing I've learned, like I said, unlearned from success is that okay, it's not going to be a straight journey, and timelines sometimes get defeated. So by 50, I may not be retired, or by 45, I may not go on vacation and travel the world. But then my my measure of success doesn't necessarily have to be tied to these material things. So I think success transcends these material things and it's truly about how you feel in your heart and how the people around you, how you're able to impact their lives positively.
Thank you. I feel like this is a very, very well packed um, response. And I would encourage everyone watching this call because Alex has said a lot of Rema things here that I'm going to go back and watch. So when we do post this recording on YouTube, I would encourage everyone to please go back and watch it and then take down nuggets from what Alex is saying because I think it's really, really powerful that you said success is about impact. It's not necessarily about material things. Like you said, maybe whilst you were growing up, it was about having a fat bank account, but now it's about having that and also building meaningful relationship as you go. And I feel like that's also a very, very good segue into the next question that I have.
Okay.
Next question is about relationship, it's about people. Um, so outside of your job, outside of Alex, the compliance officer working at Guaranteed Trust Fund Managers, what's something about growing into adulthood, relationship, expectations, or self doubt that has challenged you the most? And how are you learning to navigate it? I can go over the
Okay.
question in depth.
If I got you correctly, you talked about self-doubt or something I've learned about self-doubt. How am I handling adult relationships? Did I skip anything?
Yeah, no, like it's essentially
Okay.
tell us about like your adulthood life outside of your career. So this time it's not talking about like you
Okay.
in your career. We want to know Alex as a person outside extracurriculars.
Okay. I mean, one common slogan that we have is adulthood is hard. So, I mean, um, it's like, so it's sometimes it's like what you were expecting versus what you got. And sometimes it's like a struggle. Definitely, we can't negate those struggles. Adulthood is good. It has its own nice benefits. We are no longer dependent. We can make our own choices. But then with those choices come great responsibilities. And the thing about people making choices on your behalf is if anything happens, they can take responsibility and you can blame, oh, it's because it's because of my dad did this or because of my mom. But
Yeah.
when you become an adult, everything falls on you. Like, ah, I did this too. I did this myself. I made this mistake, or I got this. I had this success. So that's one part of adulthood. I think it's transitioning and taking responsibility. And I think that's what maybe a lot of adults, maybe I won't say a lot, many adults struggle with taking responsibility of their lives and of their choices. You see people still trying to blame others for their choices. Of course, our lives are interconnected and your decisions will affect me, but we can't. One part of adulthood is being able to throw off that cloak of being a victim and taking off that cloak of responsibility. Okay, I decide what's going to happen in my life. I have a degree of influence on what happens in my life. So I think transforming into adulthood and surviving is just knowing, like we've talked about, expectations are there, and you have to try and manage everybody's expectations and then manage yours. So I work, I have friends who need my time, I have family, have other relationships that need time and need energy and effort as well. But then you can't be everywhere all at once. It's not possible. So one part of adulthood is being able to manage your time well. You have career goals, you have things that make you happy, that you like to do as hobbies, you have people you like to spend time with. That's a good part of adulthood, being able to split your time into these different segments or sections that please you or that give you meaning or give purpose to your life. And then about self-doubt, I don't know if about everybody, I won't say everybody struggles with it, but I think most of us do. I have struggled with it severally in the past, and I think it's something maybe still ahead too. There's some rules that you step into, and you just, oh, can I really do this? Am I prepared for this? I mean, recently, well, last year, I stepped into a role that was very challenging for me, and at one point, I was like, okay, can I really do this? Am I prepared? But then, excellence or experience comes from doing. It's when you begin to do something that you become you have experience in it, that you become a pro in it, that you become an expert. You can give directions or give advice to others. And I think it's very important for us to know, sometimes we want to sit on the fence and just watch and say, okay, I want this experience, I want this knowledge, I wish I had this strength, this boldness, this courage. But those things come from doing. When you apply yourself, when you feel, okay, I'm going to learn about this and I'm going to do it. That's what makes you become a better professional. And even in your personal life too, makes you become more competent. So I will like what I'll just have to like to wrap this up with is do. Just do. Keep moving.
Do.
Yeah, keep
Do
moving.
kill
And it's
first.
when
I
you
love this word, do kill.
yeah. So when you keep doing, you keep acquiring knowledge, you keep acquiring experience, and this the self-doubt disappears and you just shut it down. And whenever it arises, you can always reference, I did this in the past, so I'll be able to do this now. I'll be able to do this ahead of me.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel like this is a very, very sweet response. I know I always say that, but it's true because, like, yes, everything that you said makes perfect sense, especially the last statement that you just made. So, going back and looking at your repertoire, like having even to write down the things that you're grateful for, like your achievements, so that when that voice comes into your head and tell you, I don't think you're worthy, I don't think you're qualified, you'll be like, no, I did this
I
before.
am.
It doesn't make you arrogant.
Yeah.
It's just like a survivor skill that you need to have as a young professional, being able to look back and say,
Yes.
I was able to do XYZ before, I can do ABC next.
And I
So
would like to, sorry, before, I'd just like to add something. So there was a time I faced self-doubt, and I just want to just give an instance. So it's at work, and there was something I was supposed to do, I was asked to do, and it was quite peculiar. And I was just, okay, can I do this? I probably won't be able to do this. Do I have enough knowledge for this? And I just went through my emails, and I saw that I'd actually done it in the past. I had done it in the past, and I think it's one good thing about journaling. This instance was not about journaling, but when you record your wins, they help you to instill faith in yourself. Like, okay, I did this in the past. I can do this. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just scribbling down because I'm taking notes. So record your wins. Yeah. As young professionals, whilst you would always, want to improve and grow, you should also play to your strengths, and like Alex would
Yes.
advise, record your wins. And then also, like, just like, summarizing the question about like adulthood and growing up and the things that you have had to learn. I really liked what you talked about, like responsibility. Like, now you're responsible for yourself, you have to make these decisions, life decisions. I struggle with that, and I've struggled with that in the past, and I'm still struggling with that now. And I just wanted to quickly highlight that this is why we have the Young Professionals Network. This is like a community of people like me and you. We understand the journey, we understand the process because we're going through it right now. So whilst you're taking responsibility, you're growing into yourself, you know all the things that Alex recommended, time management and the rest. Also attach yourself to communities, people who would hold you accountable. That's why people encourage others to like have accountability partners. But in this particular context, having an accountability community, a community who would help you, like, you know, when you also feel validated, for example, be like, I have these two job opportunities. Should I take this one or should I take this one? This one is unpaid. This one is paid. But this one is unpaid speaks to my strengths. And you know, I feel like it would be a pivot, but I don't know what to do. Should I go for the money or should I go for the experience? So when you bring those type of, you know, dilemmas to a community like the YPN, you have people who have done it or who are also in the process of doing it, and then you have like a community, people to validate you and be like, well, behind you, essentially, like maybe someone to blame, but not necessarily predestinating that area or in that regard, but just like attaching yourself to community. When you see people like yourself, it gives you that energy to continue and do more. So thank you so much for pointing all those out. Once again, I would advise everyone here to please do a rewatch of this video. Alex is spewing facts right now. I have another question that I wanted to ask.
Okay.
If you could go back this time, we're taking you back to the backest back. If you could go back and to tell your younger self one thing with all the plethora of knowledge that you have right now, what would it be? And what is something you'd hope to build as you grow further in life? So the question is, what is that one thing that you know now that you wish you had known when you were younger and that you want to
Okay.
share with us all as well? And following from that thing, what do you then hope to build on in your later years?
Okay. If there's one thing I could tell my younger self, probably be to maybe invest in Bitcoin and know that it's going to be massive. But yeah, but on a serious note, if I could tell myself one thing, my younger self one thing, it would be uh to be I like to tell myself multiple things actually. I just like to do
Tell
two
us all the
things. Yes.
multiple things.
I would like to say to my younger self, I should not stop asking. I shouldn't be afraid to ask. And I'll break this down because I think it's very important. In life, sometimes our experiences or the people we have around us may stop us from asking. And when I mean asking, I mean demanding what you think you are worth. It could be in a job, maybe what you think you're worth in a job, what you think your services are worth, or just asking for someone to give you that connection you need, or just asking, making the request. Because sometimes we are too timid. We become timid, or because we've been shut down in the past, we tend to shy away from opportunities that could bring us out and could reward us heavily. So that's what I mean by don't stop asking. Don't be afraid to ask. There's a wise saying that fortune favors the brave. Once you're brave enough to ask, when you're brave enough to speak up, once you're brave enough to demand from life, I think it's not very easy, but things begin to fall in place. It's better to demand and okay, I tried, than to say, okay, I didn't try. I just let it go. I just left the situation. But when you keep on asking, when you keep on trying, when you keep on demanding, things begin to work out and it begins to become better for you. I'd also like to tell myself to be bold, to be brave, and also to not cast my dreams in stone.
Mm.
Yes, to not cast my dreams in stone
Can you explain that
because
more?
okay, I'll explain it like this. So sometimes when we're, like I mentioned before, when you're younger, you have different plans for yourself. And when these plans follow you and timelines follow you into adulthood, you can begin to beat yourself up about your life. I'm not doing as well as I should. I'm failing compared to the others or compared to what I've set for myself. I am, look at me. By this stage, I'm supposed to be this. I'm supposed to own this. So when you tie yourself to those things that you had as a child, those plans or those plans, those pathways, those channels, those goals that you had as a child, and you tie yourself and transition to this into adulthood, they can put an undue burden on you, and you have to carry these failed expectations, whether or not we like to accept it. The it's more than just takes more than just our will for something to come for something to come through. It takes more than just your will or my will. Things, other people are involved, situations are involved, chances and luck is also there, and God is also there. So when you tie yourself and you're so focused on this is what I want, this is what I want to do, any other thing is a waste. You're wasting time, the valuable time that you could have spent. And then you look back and you say, oh, what was I doing with my life? So I would like to just advise myself to be bold. Don't stop asking. And then to ensure that you are focused on the broader plan, the broader view, broader perspective of life, knowing that you shouldn't just tie yourself. It's always time to make a move, a new move. Don't think you are too cast in stone. You're too rigid to transition or to change or to become dynamic. You say you adapt or you die. That's simple biology. So if you're not willing to adapt, and that is one skill that all professionals should have, if you're not willing to adapt, you're going to be phased out and eventually become obsolete. So I think you should always remember, little Alexander should always remember that there's always room to grow, always room to adapt, always room to transition, always room to try again. And if I could go back in time, I still would do that Bitcoin thing I mentioned earlier. But yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Before I have one last follow-up question for you, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. I just wanted to remind everyone, if you have questions for Alex, you can please use the Q&A button on Zoom to ask your questions, or you can post it in the chat, and then we'll get to it in like the next 2 minutes. Alex, I really, really liked what you said, and I feel like you already like answered one of the questions I was going to ask, like what would be the advice that you would give to us as young professionals right now. You already did that. Um, One thing that comes through was when you talked about like looking at the broader plan and looking at like the broader view that you have for your life and for life in general, and then also being flexible, because I feel like personally that is like the salt to success, like being flexible, having a broader view. You're not where you want to be right now, but you're also not where you were yesterday.
Yeah,
You're moving. So, albeit
moving.
the minutest growth that you've made, that is still growth. Because sometimes we might be waiting for like the boom, the big thing to like hit for us to say, oh, yes, now I think I've moved from point A to point B. Whereas you probably had one t-shirt yesterday, but today you have two. I consider that growth, because one of my own thing I would tell my younger self, right, with everything I know now, is to celebrate the little wins. So sometimes I sit in my room, I sit on my desk, and I ask myself, what am I grateful for today? I'm looking at the future. I'm like, oh, this is where I want to be. This is what I want. But then I'm like, well, I'm not where I was yesterday. And sometimes I
True.
even say yesterday, not in the kind of yesterday that we're looking at maybe 5 years, 10 years ago, literally yesterday, right? Yesterday I probably ate once. Today I've eaten twice. That's growth to
That
me.
is.
Or like I didn't have coffee yesterday. I have a glass of coffee now. That's growth to me. But whilst we're allowing people to marinate their questions, one last question that I have for you is adaptability. You said adapt or die, right? In the literal sense of the word, yes, you're very correct. But I mean, I have had to, I'm living through adaptability right now. So it comes off like very like, you just say adapt or die. Do you know the process of like adapting? Adapting is not some, it's difficult, it's hard, it's everything. So I want you to like talk about like, I want you to throw more light about adaptability, because like sometimes people just like tell young professionals, tell people adapt, you have to learn how to adapt. Whereas the process of adapting itself is excruciating. So do you want to like talk more about that whilst you allow people to marinate their questions?
Okay, adaptability. I mean, I could talk about this all day. I my it's a skill I developed earlier in life, and because I changed schools a lot because we moved, they changed locations, and I found myself having to start afresh in some situations, like building relationships, or maybe academic wise, you're used to some systems, and then you change, and it becomes new to you. And then adaptability or lack of adaptability would mean failing. And I don't like to fail. Nobody likes to fail. So I had to become adaptable. I had to ensure that I could adapt to situations, could upgrade and update myself. And I think it's very important skill, like I mentioned earlier. And one way you can look at it is your, like I mentioned before, your biology. It's inbuilt in us. We have the ability to adapt. We have the ability to change to fit situations. We are not plastic that is breakable or that is not malleable. We're moldable. So we can always change to fit situations. When you find yourself in a particular situation, you study, how do I adapt? When I first resumed at my current place of work, it was a new environment. I mean, very high energy, high performing environment. And I had to take out some time to study. So for about 2 weeks, I was just studying what was going on. I wasn't really interacting with people, just monitoring and looking at the environment, like just surveying the terrain, and then knowing how to fit in there, how to act. Because I read something recently, say the reason why you feel you're out of place is because you haven't put yourself in the place that you should be. So when you have that disposition of, okay, this is where I should belong.
Um, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. When you have that disposition of this is where I should belong, you're going to carry out steps to belong there. So just look around. Forming meaningful relationships has always been a very key way for me to adapt. When I find myself in a new environment, I try to look for people who are of like minds or like values. Like when I was in school, and that was how I met Nancy. When I was in school, I looked for people, new environment, new city. Uh, I looked for people who were of similar values and like minds, in brilliant people as well. And I then formed relationships with them. So these people make things easier when you are trying to adapt. They make things easier, make you more grounded, make you more knowledgeable in whatever situation you find yourself. So like I mentioned before, it's adapt or die. It's a very tough situation out here, and that's how you prove yourself to be relevant. That's how you remain relevant. In the one popular example we can give is the film industry or even the entertainment industry. Artists who are unable to um, unable to renew themselves, or who are unable to put themselves in a new light, who are unable to
Trend. Yeah.
success there. Yes, they fade out, and people, they just become obsolete. Oh, that person, he used to be very good. So as a young professional, if you are not able to gain the necessary skills to adapt, if you're not able to gain necessary emotional intelligence as well, emotional skills to adapt, you're
Mhm.
going to eventually find yourself obsolete. And I mean, nobody wants that. So yeah, adaptability is a very good skill for us, and these are
Yeah.
just the steps that I take. Yes. So you
Well,
can
thank you
like
so much.
I just want to add, it's also very important to have a true sense of self. So while you are being adaptable, while you are changing things about yourself, you don't lose who you really are, because that will now be you becoming somebody else.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, thank you so much because like why this question feels personal is in my own journey right now as a young professional. I mean, all through my time in Nigeria, when I worked in Angola, I've always had to adapt. And I also like have adaptability skills as well. But like not to the point or the extent that I have had to adapt being where I am right now. And it's really, really difficult. But then I think what
It
you
is.
said makes sense when you said you have to put yourself in the place where you belong, meaning when you see yourself in that place, it's easier for you to adapt, especially in my own situation. Like here, as an immigrant in the US, it's very different from back home where you have, everyone is the same. Here, there are so many communities like, oh, immigrant community is different from the white community, from the Hispanic community, from the African American community. Everyone is in a community. I'm like, what's going on? And you find yourself so forlorn, right? You find yourself like, and then people are looking, you're talking, you have an accent. They have an accent, but like because you're in a minority, yours is more pronounced. So, and then you see a lot of like young professionals, African young professionals, who then go into their shells or who then start to feel less of themselves. When they are projecting themselves in classrooms or in meetings, they always defer to the other person's opinion because they think they don't have the capacity or the wherewithal to stand firm. But like what you said, I feel makes perfect sense. See yourself in that space. So I already do that without even knowing that that was the label that I was doing. So thank you for giving a name because I see myself in those rooms and I don't judge people who based on like, oh, this person is white, so maybe this person knows more than me. I listen to the content of what you say, and I don't feel less of myself when I'm speaking to professors or speaking to my peers. Of course, you still have to have that imposter syndrome comes upon you, but like knowing who you are, like you said, a deep sense of self, knowing who you are at your core will help you stand up and project your voice and speak. Like I said, you also have an accent. Mine is only pronounced because I'm in the minority here. You're speaking, you have an accent. What makes you think your accent is better than mine? So like those things makes you, and then like you said, and I feel like light bulb. I'm like Rema, Rema, Rema. Attaching yourself to communities, it will help you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, like the Young Professionals Network. And I applaud everyone for being here today because it means that you are taking the bold step to bettering your life by virtue of taking 30, 40 minutes out of your time to listen to young professionals who do not have everything figured out, who are still navigating through life. Being here today means that you're one of the very few who, well, I mean, scratch that. So let's just leave it like that. Like that's a very, very good step to take. So thank you so much, Alex. Yes, I mean, look at all my notes. I have everything scribbled down, and I'm definitely going to go back and watch this video. But I just quickly want to open it up for questions. If you have questions for Alex, or you have questions for me, if you want to type it out in the chat, that's fine. Or you want to use the Q&A function on Zoom, that's fine. Or if you want to unmute and ask your question verbally, we're here. So I'm just gonna like sit still and allow people think about questions. You can also raise your hand like I have done, your digital hand, if you want to speak up, and then you can unmute or I will unmute you to ask your question.
I think
So
everyone has perfect understanding of what we've
I was going
discussed.
to say the rule of thumb that I've learned. One thing that I've learned is when you ask people for questions, like there's this need to want to fill in the gap, like to say something, to talk. Whereas you ask the question and allow there to be silence. Silence is also a form of communication, right? And then ask again, and then before you can then move on. So I'm asking again for the second time. Any questions? Oh, thank you, Dora. Yeah, you can go ahead and ask a question.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for the amazing
Hi,
talk, Alexander.
thank you.
I want to know, as a young professional working in compliance, if you were going to change professions now, what would be the first thing that you would do? I don't know if if you already spoke about that because I wasn't here. I couldn't join on time. But if you were changing professions now, what would be the first thing that you would do?
Great question.
Okay, thank you for that question, Dora. I think the first thing I'm going to consider, something I have great interest in, is is sustainability. And there's a way it can be wonderfully.
Ernest,
Hello?
do you want to mute yourself? Let me mute you. Please go
Can you
ahead.
hear me?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So there's a way it can be wonderfully moving in compliance as ESG. So it talks about the environment, talks about social, and talks about sustainability, and also talks about governance. So something I've always had great interest in. I'm actually a little advocate in my own way for against plastic pollution and for protection of the climate. So if I could contribute in my own way to ensuring that companies or individuals are more aware of their responsibilities to the environment. That stronger systems are put in place to check for compliance or check for compliance with international standards and rules concerning these aspects of our lives, about the oceans, the forests, the air that we even breathe, to ensure that institutes or organizations are very particularly concerned about their impact on the environment. I would love an opportunity in that sector, that part of the industry. Thank you.
That's a very great question. If you were not working in compliance, what would you be doing? It's good. Thank you so much for the response to the question, and thank you, Dora, for asking that question. I hope it made us all wiser to knowing who Alex is as a young professional. Do we have any other question for Alex? Okay, if none, I just want to say thank you so much, Alex, for sharing your time with us today. And
Thank
thank
you.
you
Hello, can
to
I say,
all of you.
can
Okay.
I, hello,
Yeah, Ernest, go ahead.
yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
So Alex, thank you so much for the enlightening session. So I was so much impressed and impacted by the lecture. So thank you so much. I just want to say I learned so much this evening, and I also appreciate the teamwork. When I saw uh, so when I saw it online, I think this last time I couldn't jump, but today I was so much impressed seeing the good work you guys are putting on. So keep it up. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
Oh,
I
thank
really
you. Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much. No,
Mhm.
thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Ernest.
Alex.
Thanks.
Ernest, we appreciate your being here as well. So I just want to
Thank
also remind everyone, please stay connected, attach yourself to a community, and if you want me to recommend one for you, the Young Professionals Network is a great community to attach yourself to. We are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram. So just type the Young Professionals Network and then you will see us pop up. This is the logo. So once you see the logo, you know that this is the Young Professionals community. What we do is stories like this. Alex is still in the journey. That's why I asked him like, what does he hope to build in the future? Because he's not there yet. Neither am I there. So it's great learning from ourselves on how we're navigating personal and professional life. So I would encourage you to follow the YPN page on all social media platforms. Alex is talking about investing. We have a video coming up about like investment, so look forward to that video as well. And we also have speakers lined up to talk to us about the journey and how they're navigating through life. And I will just quickly preview our next speaker. His name is Samuel. Well, should I have done that? Maybe like I should have like guessed his name. But anyways, well, you guys are very privileged to like know the news now. His name is Samuel. He's from is it from Rwanda or Kenya? He's from Kenya, and he's a young professional currently working here in the US, and is going to share from his own experiences navigating life, not only as um, an African from East Africa, but an immigrant here in the United States. So stay tuned for that, and you will get more information if you follow the YPN page on all social media platforms. So once again, thank you so much, Alex, for doing this with me and for sharing your insights. I encourage everyone to please go back and watch the YouTube video when we post it on YouTube. There's so many Rema moments that he said that I'm going to like have to digest when I leave this call now. Alex, do you have anything else to say before we close out today?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, Nancy, for inviting me to this conversation, to having me on this call. I think it's a very timely one. As much as we like to give up the impression that we have it together, sometimes we actually don't, and we need some like-minded individuals to support us, to give us that influence. And you have always been one ever since I met you. So I thank you for your influence. I call Nancy Madam Proactive because she's always very proactive. She's
Clock
always
it.
pushing me on to do things, and I thank you for that. And I just want to say one final thing to young professionals that you should don't you should don't leave the responsibility of advancement to another person. You may have a boss at work, you may have an uncle and aunt, and you say, okay, this person is going to empower me, this person is going to be responsible for me. Oh, my boss is not helping me grow the way I should. Take it as your own duty to advance yourself. Take it as your duty to pick up those certification courses, to try go on for those interviews, to study hard, to advance because everybody's so busy, and unless you really move yourself, there's hardly a situation where someone is going to do that for you. So you are the one who is going to come up with that conviction. I need to do this. I need to do all that I have to do to get to where I want to be. You are in charge of your own life, and you need to take charge. These older guys are they are looking down on us. They say we are not serious, that we are not responsible. But we have to show them that this is who we are. We're going to advance, we're going to take over, and we're going to do it the proper way. We're going to do it one step at a time, and we're responsible for our own advancement. Just take responsibility. And I wish us all the best because it's not easy. And I thank God for the Young Professionals Network. Please just try to stay tuned to what Nancy has packed for us. She's good. She has a lot, I'm very sure. Thank you once again, Nancy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. What a way to end. Thank you so much again, Alex. And see you all in our next communication. Follow the YPN on all social media platforms. Do it now. Do it now. Thank you so much. All right. Bye.